here today in two separate meetings. The first meeting we're going to convene as is not the City Council, it's the Board of Canvassers of Salt Lake City. So we are now convening for a quick, limited formal meeting as the Board of Canvassers. As the city's elected officials and per state law, the Board of Canvassers for municipal elections includes the City Council and Mayor. Therefore, a quorum and simple majority consists of 5 board members. This is not a standard formal meeting, and therefore no general comment will be taken until later when we convene as the City Council after the Board of Canvassers. But as the Board of Canvassers, we are here to address one new business item, and that is the certification of the special bond election held in Salt Lake City on November 8th, 2022. Certified vote totals are shown on the election results report. We have no public hearings, no potential action items, no comments. So we are on section E, which is new business, and that is item E1, certification of the canvass of the Salt Lake City special bond election for 2022.
Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry.
Did I do something wrong?
I just need to make a quick correction. The Board of Canvassers on a special bond election does not include the mayor.
Oh, okay, so that's, thank you. Thank you,
Just
Cindy.
a clarification.
But it does for,
It does for
Municipal.
municipal elections, but not for a bond
thank you for the clarification.
portion.
Sorry, Mayor. This is kind of awkward now. No, I'm sorry. You'll have to stay over there.
Board Member Wharton.
Mr. Chair, I am prepared to read the results if you'd like that to be done.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Let's do that first. Thank you.
So just as a note, the elections, Olivia Hodge, the elections management coordinator for the city, has provided a memorandum to you via email with the results of the county clerk's office. So as mentioned, on November 8th, the city participated in a special bond election for the purpose of issuing the $85 million in bond funding for the purpose of opportunities to build upon existing investments to enhance the public land system. 62,412 ballots were cast. 44,513 voted for the issuance of the bonds, and 17,899 voted against the issuance of the bonds. 1,045 by-mail ballots were not counted due to the reasons provided in the memorandum. And with 71.32% of votes cast, the issuance of the bonds has passed.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I move that the council adopt the resolution accepting the special election results of the Salt Lake City Parks, Trails, and Open Space Bond.
Second.
I'm sorry. Could I?
Yes, please.
It's not a resolution that the Board of Canvassers completes. It's just the acceptance of the results.
I move that we accept the results of the Salt Lake City Parks, Trails, and Open Space Bond.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Board Member Wharton and a second from Board Member Fowler that we accept the results. Is there any discussion to this motion? Okay, so I will roll call the vote. Board Member Fowler.
Yes.
Wharton.
Yes.
Dugan.
Yes.
Petro Eschler.
Yes.
Is Board Member Valdemoros able to?
Yes, I am here, and I'm a yes.
Okay, and I'm a yes as well, so that passes unanimously with one board member absent.
And now you'll just adjourn and then go to council.
Do we need a motion to?
Chair, I move that the Board of Canvassers adjourn.
Second.
Okay.
And convene as the council, and I second it.
Say all in favor. I'll roll call.
Thanks.
Board Member Fowler.
Yes.
Wharton.
Yes.
Dugan.
Yes.
Petro Eschler.
Yes.
Valdemoros.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, so moving on, we are now on our Salt Lake City Council formal meeting agenda. Now we are convened as a city council. Welcome to today's meeting. We continue to host hybrid meetings to keep everyone healthy and safe. Our meetings are public, and you are welcome to join us in person or by watching from the council's agenda page, Facebook, YouTube, or SLC TV. We hope you'll continue to join in whichever manner you feel most comfortable. If you are here to give public comment and you are wearing a mask, feel free to remove it once you are called to address the council from the podium. And thank you today for participating. First item is the Pledge of Allegiance, so please stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
Okay, thank you. Welcome to our public meeting. Thank you again for joining us. If you would like to give public comment today, we are accepting comments both in person and online via WebEx. Before we begin moving through our agenda, I want to mention and review our rules of decorum. The City Council has always had guidelines in place to ensure our meetings are orderly, civil, and efficient. The guidelines help everyone feel comfortable sharing their comments without feeling intimidated. To achieve this, our rules of decorum take effect as soon as you arrive. We respect all points of view and welcome new insights. Please be respectful when sharing your comments. Avoid yelling, profanity, making racial slurs, or obscene or defamatory remarks. If you violate this rule, we will mute your line or we'll ask you to stop. If you feel the need to use such language to express your opinion, you may email council members or leave a message on our 24-hour comment line. Additionally, our staff will request your name during the WebEx registration process. To limit disruption, your name cannot include a message or violate our rules of decorum. If your name doesn't comply, our staff will let you know. For those joining on WebEx, please watch your chat window in case we try to reach out to you. Isaac Canedo from our staff will moderate our WebEx and will message you with any questions about your registration. Staff is handling many tasks, so please limit messages to technical issues and minimal informational updates. If you'd like to send us a comment rather than speak, please feel free to mail P.O. Box 145476, Salt Lake City, Utah 84114. Email council.comments@slcgov.com or call 801-535-7654. So now we will be on item A4, and that is the council will consider adopting a joint resolution with Mayor Mendenhall recognizing December 1st as World AIDS Day in Salt Lake City. I was told that Councilmember Wharton was going to read this. It says that I'm going to, but...
Yeah, we didn't tell.
Oh. Somebody else requested you over me for this, so would you like to read the resolution?
I'm happy to. Someone requested me to?
No, I think we
Oh.
were just confused because you were the chair.
Oh, yeah, because it's abnormal for the chair to read it,
Oh.
they said.
Okay. Yes, happy to do it. Joint resolution declaring World AIDS Day 2022 in Salt Lake City. Whereas, according to the estimates from the Joint United Nations Program on HIV/AIDS, there are now more than 38 million people throughout the world living with human immunodeficiency virus, or HIV. Of these, 54% are women and girls, 1.7 million are children, 1.5 million new infections occurred among adults and children in 2021 alone. And whereas in Utah, HIV incidence has not seen a significant decrease in new HIV infections when other metropolitan areas have, and whereas in Utah, the rate of new HIV diagnoses with stage 3 infections has not decreased in the last 5 years, and whereas up to 85% of people living with HIV in Utah reside along the Wasatch Front, and whereas the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, has found that HIV-related stigma has a significant negative impact on people living with HIV, increases new infections, and delays people from seeking testing for HIV, and whereas stigma, shame, and fear make people less likely to discuss their sexual health with doctors and often leads to delays in seeking testing or treatment for sexually transmitted infections and HIV, which have serious long-term health consequences. And whereas despite rigorous testing of all donated blood, the Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, have yet to rescind its recommendation that blood donation centers turn away members of the LGBTQ community, especially gay men and transgender people, increasing stigma. And whereas people with HIV who take HIV medication are as prescribed and maintain an undetectable viral load, can live long and healthy lives and will not transmit HIV to an HIV negative partner. And whereas pre-exposure prophylaxis, PrEP, a daily regimen of 2 oral antiretroviral drugs in a single pill has proven to be highly effective in preventing HIV infection for individuals at high risk, reducing the risk of acquiring HIV by up to 97%. And whereas Salt Lake City supports the efforts of the Utah AIDS Foundation in their mission to provide support to people living with HIV/AIDS and prevention services for those at risk for HIV, Salt Lake City also supports the important work of the Salt Lake County Health Department's Sexually Transmitted Disease, or STD, clinic, which provides testing for HIV at no cost. And whereas the elimination of stigma in Utah will lead to better physical and mental health outcomes for people living with HIV, increased HIV disclosure, increased HIV testing, and decreased HIV infections. And whereas World AIDS Day was established in 1988 and is observed each year on December 1st to provide opportunity for individuals and communities to take action and help educate for HIV/AIDS prevention, treatment, and care. And whereas Salt Lake City has joined other cities around the world in an effort to increase awareness, reduce stigma, provide education about HIV/AIDS, and demonstrate compassion for those affected by HIV. Now, therefore, let it be resolved, the Salt Lake City Council and Mayor of Salt Lake City hereby recognize December 1st, 2022 as World AIDS Day in Salt Lake City and encourage all residents to unite together in the fight against HIV/AIDS, reduce the stigma of HIV/AIDS, and support those who are living with or have been affected by HIV/AIDS. Be it further resolved that Salt Lake City urges the FDA to rescind its recommendation that blood donation centers turn away donors in the LGBTQ community based solely on sexual history, since, according to the CDC, all blood for transfusion is tested for evidence of certain infectious disease pathogens such as HIV.
Thank you, Councilmember Wharton. Now I'll look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt the resolution.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Fowler, a second from Councilmember Dugan. Is there any discussion? Okay, I will roll call Councilmember Peter-Eschler,
Yes.
Councilmember Dugan,
Yes.
Councilmember Wharton,
Yes.
Councilmember Fowler,
Yes.
Councilmember Valdemoros,
Yes.
and I'm a yes, and that passes unanimously. And we would like to recognize Jared Hafen from the Utah AIDS Foundation, who to accept this resolution. We appreciate your contributions and participation. Would you like to say any words and speak to us? You're welcome to come to the desk or the dais, either way.
Yeah, I'm Jared Hafen. I'm the programming director with Utah AIDS Foundation. I want to thank the Salt Lake City Council and Mayor Mendenhall for recognizing World AIDS Day and your commitment and support in ending the HIV epidemic. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hafen. We really appreciate what you do for the community.
Yes, thank
Do we
you.
want to take a picture? Real
Would
quick?
you? Yeah, let's take
Would
a
you
picture.
like to take a picture with us, Jared?
Thank you.
And while we're getting resettled, I just wanted to say, I know Councilmember Pui was sad that he couldn't be here for this, but we wanted to adopt it before December 1st, and he's unfortunately on a plane right now. So I know that he sends his regrets for not being able to be here. He wanted to.
Can we? Can I ask that we send a copy of the resolution to the FDA? I'm sure that they have like a general mailbox. Can we? And we can highlight the part about like rescinding that the second therefore. Thank you.
That would be great.
Sure, they'll take it right to the top.
Right.
Thanks.
Okay. So we're on section B of our agenda. What time is it? Okay, section B is our public hearings. So Taylor Hill on our staff will be calling the names of those who wish to comment. We'll call the names of people on WebEx and in person based on when the registration or comment cards were received. Once we open public comment, Taylor is going to announce the names, up to 3 names at a time for people who are going to speak. When it's your turn to speak, Taylor will announce your name, unmute your line, or you may come up to the podium, and you'll have 2 minutes to speak. After the 2-minute mark, the staff will announce time. And if you're unable to finish your comment, please use those contact methods we said previously to finish that and send us the remainder of your comments. And if when we call your name you no longer wish to speak, just let us know that you're just here to listen, or message our staff on WebEx. So our first public hearing combines items B1 through B4, and they will be heard as one public hearing, and therefore 4 grant items. Before taking comments, I will turn the time over to Sylvia Richards on our council staff to give a short introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The city applies for and receives grants which help to support and fund some city programs. Each grant application is reviewed and then receives a public hearing, which gives the public an opportunity to comment on them. Tonight, there are 4 grants. First is the Reconnecting Communities Pilot Discretionary Grant 2022, Critical Connections, Healing Salt Lake City's East-West Divide, which would fund the analysis and prioritization of solutions to the East-West Divide through transportation infrastructure, which would support connectivity and community stabilization. Second is the fiscal year 24 Homeless Shelter Mitigation Grant, which is an annual grant award from the State Account for Homeless Shelter Cities Mitigation. The funds will support 2 new patrol officers, 1 new sergeant, continue funding for 12 police officers, continue funding for 2 housing stability heart community engagement coordinators, and subawards to Volunteers of America. Third is the plug-in electric vehicle make-ready project from Rocky Mountain Power, which will be used to fund electric vehicle charging stations on 2nd South. And fourth is the Urban Sustainability Directors Network Emergent Learning Fund Q4, which would fund consultant fees and the city's participation in the 2023 Spring Western Adaptation Alliance Conference. The city previously applied for this grant but wasn't awarded, so the city is applying again in the Q4. As a reminder, these are grants which the city has applied for. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Sylvia. Taylor, do we have anyone here to speak to these items?
Mr. Chair, there are 2 people here to speak to these items. The first will be Tekwani Oliver, followed by Levy Woodruff. Tekwani, you are unmuted.
Okay, first I'd like to acknowledge that we are in the occupied, unceded homelands of the Shoshone Paiute and Ute peoples. We recognize them as the traditional stewards of this land, and we honor their enduring relationship with it. We also recognize the painful history of genocide and forced removal from this land and the colonization that is an ongoing process, and that their lands are still occupied. Just want to make some mentions from the working meeting about how there seems to be a lot of hope in this area about redeveloping I'm sorry, I've got a cold, the Fleet area. And I have to say about a lot of the communities from whom this spot, the genesis was not hope. The genesis was a lot of pain. And we don't hear the voices of those really reflected in the discussion about the plans going forward. We hear a lot about Edison Road and a lot of this hope, but there's still a lot of pain amongst these communities who hear private interest and private equity being pushed, like Councilman Fowler, and hearing Councilman Dougal's more of a Utah first sort of mentality of really having it land owned so that we can have local stake leadership and stake having that sort of grassroots, because the institution of private equity really doesn't it really doesn't afford for that grassroots effort. Private interests and private owned, it's almost like the very it's like Raid, or not Raid, Green, the pesticides. It's meant to kill grassroots efforts. We already see private interests are creating gentrification on the west side and in places like that. So it's hard for us to trust how they're going to go forward with this project. So you need to build trust in the community first before even going forward.
Thank you. I believe that was probably intended for general comment. This current item, but thank you. We heard your comment. This current item is for these 4 grant applications. Taylor, do we know if the second commenter is also for general comment or for the grant applications?
We can give it a try. That will be Levy Woodruff. Levy, you are unmuted.
Hi, thank you. I actually would like first to speak to item B2, the Homeless Shelter Cities Mitigation Grant. I understand that this grant in the past has been used and is again considering to be used to fund police officers and to add some new positions to that. I would like just to point out that according to the Salt Lake Valley Coalition to End Homelessness, right now case managers who are vital to helping people experiencing homelessness return to stability, find housing, get other assistance that they may need, such as mental health or physical health services. On average, every one case manager has to serve 40 clients, and that it can be a tremendous amount of services, again, that they are helping coordinate for those clients. And these grants can be used to fund social services, not just public safety or police officers. So I would like to urge you to use this new grant that you're applying for to fund more case managers and also to increase salaries for the case managers that we have to improve retention so that we can provide services to more Utahns experiencing homelessness and better services, and so that the dedicated case managers who are really helping people will be more likely to stay in their profession. So I would just urge you to focus on the social services component of that grant rather than increase policing around shelters. Thank you.
And that was the final registered comment for these items.
Thank you, Taylor. So with that, I will look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that the council close the public hearing and refer items B1 through B4 to a future consent agenda for action.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Dugan, a second from Councilmember Petro Eschler. Any discussion to this motion? Seeing none, I will roll call. Councilmember Petro Eschler.
Yes.
Dugan.
Yes.
Wharton.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
Valdemoros.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. That passes unanimously with 1 council member absent. So it's 7:29. Do we need to stop for the press conference? Should we just...
What do you think? There's a couple, there's like 3 or 4 people for general comment, so just a few minutes? Okay.
Okay, so
Thank
if
you, Mayor.
there's any press joining us, we had a scheduled press conference at 7:30. We're just about done, so we're just going to wrap up through the remainder of our agenda and then get to that. So that brings us to Section C. Section C is potential action items. The first is C1, an ordinance for a rezone at 856 West, 1300 South. I will look for a motion.
Chair, I move that the council adopt the ordinance.
Is there a second?
I would make a friendly amendment.
With the conditions on the...
Or, yes,
They were not in the Dropbox.
I saw that. I saw that too.
All right, hang on. I'm gonna add this. Okay. I move that the council adopt the ordinance with the requirement that the petitioner enter a development agreement with the following conditions as outlined in the ordinance. Development of the property shall be for residential use only. Maximum height of structures on property shall not exceed 2.5 stories and 30 feet. Development of the property shall include at least 1 parking space for each dwelling unit. Development of the property shall not exceed 60% of lot coverage, and all dwelling units shall include at least 3 bedrooms.
Second.
Okay, I have a council member motion by council member Petro Eschler and a second by council member Fowler. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll roll call, starting with council member Fowler.
Yes.
Wharton.
Yes.
Dugan.
Yes.
Petro Eschler.
Yes.
Valdemoros.
Yes.
And I am a yes, so that passes unanimously with 1 council member absent. That brings us to item C2, which is a resolution for digital equipment, our digital equipment donation program, the benefits analysis and recommendation. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that the council approve a resolution authorizing the donation of certain city computers to benefit disadvantaged communities and low to moderate income families through a digital donation program.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Councilmember Dugan, a second by Councilmember Fowler. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll roll call. Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Petro Eschler.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
Wharton.
Yes.
And Valdemoros.
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so that passes unanimously, 6-0 with 1 absent. We are now on the comments section of our agenda, section D. The first is comments from to the mayor from the city council. We did that last week too. Are there any questions for the mayor? As always, Mayor, thank you for being here, and your staff. Thank you for joining us at our meetings and making sure that we're all here listening to the public together. Next are comments to the city council. These are general comments for anything not on our agenda tonight. The same rules of decorum that we went over earlier apply. We are accepting comments in person and online via WebEx. Again, Isaac Canedo is moderating the meeting, and Taylor Hill will be calling the names. And all the other rules of decorum apply. So Taylor, do you can you please call the names, the first names for general comment?
Yes, Mr. Chair, it looks like there are 4 people here for general comment. The first will be Ray Duckworth, followed by Kara Cope, and then Yvonne Banner. Ray, you are unmuted.
Ray, are you there?
Okay, let's move on to Kara Cope. Kara, you're now unmuted.
All right. This is for general comments. Earlier in the day, we were listening to your meeting regarding Fleet Block. And I just want to put in a comment to you. People are calling it different things, but if you're going to use George Floyd's name, or you're going to use a family member's name from police violence that's happened to them, I think you should get permission to call it what you're going to call it. They were calling it George Floyd Square and all kinds of things. You best get permission from the Floyd family. You best not use your judgment and just go ahead and do something without actually talking to the people that this is going to represent. So I just want to get that out there since we couldn't have public comment today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Next will be Yvonne Banner. Yvonne, you are unmuted.
Hello. So I was also listening in earlier regarding Fleet Block, and I wanted to say thank you to Councilmember Fowler. I really appreciate your comments regarding Fleet Block at the council meeting today. It is very important to maintain what the community is already doing with that space and to honor the victims and their families moving forward. It is already called the murals. I think, in my opinion, like that's already what the community is using it as. And the community has decided how to use this space, and it is very important to listen to the families of the victims. I think that we have to stand together, and the murals are a beacon of hope and equity for us all. The community has been maintaining them, and they hold these past years of blood, sweat, and tears for many of us. To make any changes that the families of the victims do not support seems backhanded after everything that's happened. This seems to me to carry even more significance after the shooting in Colorado this past weekend, because the undercurrent of all of this is very much rooted in the same kind of ethic. I understand the ideas set forth by some of the other council members, but I specifically do not agree with them as far as altering development to accommodate the tracks line or other pathways if that is to be detrimental to the murals as a landmark. We do not need to reinvent the wheel. Further, it does seem like after 2 years since a public hearing, it doesn't seem fair to go forward without another public hearing on this. That's all my comments. Thank you.
And we will circle back to Ray Duckworth once more to see if her microphone's not working. Ray, you are unmuted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. I apologize. Hi, everybody. I just wanted to make a comment and also kind of amplify the appreciation that that I do have for Amy and Vicky for the meeting that was happening earlier. We did see you stick up and listen to the community in wanting to prioritize the families at this time, in creating the spaces and organizing what they feel fits their best. As the families do mourn there, and they still have since the last of the rezoning meetings. I also want to express some appreciation to Ashley Cleveland, and I would also want to direct some of the rest of the council to consider points that Ashley Cleveland has brought up. She has been, hosting conversations with the families, and the families have expressed their ideas and also concerns, as you all know. And another idea just to be brought up, we do understand about the long-term city planning, needing parks and plazas. As long as these environments aren't created with the idea to harm the unsheltered, of course, like those are always ideas that we've also considered. And we know that the idea is to put like a 3-acre, or the guideline anyways is asking to put like a 3-acre grassland or something like that. Maybe think about reducing it if you're going to keep it all together. That way you don't have to break up the block, and that way we can keep the unity of the block there, because all of those families are family now. And so that's just something to consider, I think. So, and also I would love to chat with you all if you guys have any other questions or concerns from my part.
And that was the final commenter for this item.
Thank you, Taylor. Let's see. Thank you, everybody that commented tonight. We are now on section E, which is new business, and that brings us to E1, which is a resolution as the City Council to accept the certified results of Salt Lake City Special Bond Election 2022.
Mr. Chair, I move that the board accept the Salt Lake City Parks, Trails, and Open Space Bond Special Election results.
Is there a second?
Second.
That's the wrong motion. This is the right one.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. I think the motion sheets were flipped.
Yeah, that's the one.
Mr. Chair, I would like to amend my motion. I move that the council adopt a resolution accepting the special election results of the Salt Lake City Parks, Trails, and Open Space Bond.
I still second.
Hey, thank you. And thank you, staff, for keeping us accurate here. Is there any discussion to the motion? Okay. I will roll call Councilmember Dugan.
Yes.
Peter Eschler.
Yes.
Wharton.
Yes.
And Fowler.
Yes.
And Valdemoros.
Yes.
And I am also a yes. Thank you, public. We are now on to item E2, which is an ordinance enacting temporary zoning regulations. I will look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move. Do we have everything we need in this one? The most updated version?
so.
Okay. I move that the council adopt an ordinance enacting a temporary zoning regulation authorizing the temporary increase in the overnight capacity by up to 20 individuals at the Volunteers of America Youth Homeless Resource Center located at approximately 888 South 400 West.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Councilmember Fowler, second by Councilmember Wharton. Any discussion to this motion? Seeing none, I'll roll call Councilmember Fowler.
Yes.
Wharton.
Yes.
Dugan.
Yes.
Petro Eschler.
Yes.
Valdemoros.
Yes.
And I am a yes. That passes unanimously. And we are now on the final section of our agenda, which is we are on unfinished business, of which there is none, and now we are on section G, consent. I'll look for a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Wharton, a second by Councilmember Fowler. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I will roll call Councilmember Fowler.
Yes.
Wharton.
Yes.
Dugan.
Yes.
Petro Eschler.
Yes.
Valdemoros.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. And that is the end of our public meeting. Thank you, everybody.
Yes.
Great.